In today's video, I want to bring you along as I set up my homeschool room for the new school year, just to give you some ideas for our homeschool space. If you're new here, my name is Melinda, and at Connecting with Littles, I like to share what I've learned with other young moms. I teach other young moms how to overcome overwhelm and to have a thriving homeschool. And if you're interested in learning more, there's a link to my community and courses in the description below. So, for now, let's get into when I set up my schoolroom and with some tips and tricks of how I did it. I am going into about 5 years of homeschooling if you count all of the preschool years of my oldest, though we didn't do anything as thorough. My oldest is in 3rd grade, my second one in 2nd grade, and then I have a kindergartner who is starting the 1st grade books if she wants, if she's interested, and a preschooler who is almost 3 years old. Now, if you've been around for a while, you know that my house is very small, so we actually use a corner of our church building that stands empty almost all week for our schoolhouse, and I leave the house about every weekday for school. It's what worked best for us, but if I didn't have that option, and I'm very grateful for that option, but if I didn't, I would have to somehow fit another bookshelf into my house and homeschool around the dining room table, and I know that would work, but I think this is so much easier. We were given these school desks, and if I have 3 hours away from home, away from my housework per day to just dedicate to my children and their learning, it works much better than if I see my work around me or I'm trying to balance homemaking and homeschooling at the same time. So maybe that would be my first tip for you as a homeschool mom who feels like I have a successful homeschool so far. It would be to separate your homeschooling time from your homemaking time and housekeeping time. That is not always possible and not always easy, but especially if you have several children who need your attention. I know I've heard from homeschoolers who didn't have a good experience. It was because their mom was somewhere else. They said one of the biggest things that if you want to homeschool, well, teach your children and be there for them. I've heard that from several who were homeschooled and didn't have the best experience. Their mom wanted them to do their schoolwork while she wanted to do the housework. So I feel like that has led to a lot of that. I just am dedicated to them during that time. Now, another thing, I share a lot of these homeschooling tips on other videos on my channel, but have a clear start and end to your school year. Here in Costa Rica, we have a different school year than a lot of North America. So we ended the end of November. And even if both of my girls had one subject they weren't quite finished yet, we just dropped it for all of December and January to have a good break, because it made it so much more exciting to come back into school. And then when this year we hope to try to get caught up, keep the other subjects up to date and try to get caught up. And we had to start beginning of February. It's a bit earlier than most schools, but I prefer to see if we can finish early or this year and start the break sooner rather than starting later and then rushing at the end of the year. So that is my plan. Another thing I did is last year I had ordered all the books ready. By the end of the school year, I had all the books here, and I had written down in my homeschool, I had printed out this homeschool planner and written down this year's homeschool planner, which is linked below too, and you're welcome to have it for free. And I had also written down what they were supposed to do, how much every week in every subject, while it was still fresh in my mind from the books that I had ordered. So yes, I had everything, and I had it stored away here at my school place. And then when this year we had planned to start school February 2, so the Saturday before, I just spent a couple hours getting things in place. Basically, everything was planned already. This video is sped up, of course, a bit, but with about 2 hours, I had everything ready to be able to start on Monday. And that's another of my tips for you, to just plan as much as you can ahead of time. Get your books before the coming year. Do your research when things are still fresh in your mind. Because I know this year if I had tried to again figure out all the books, it would have taken longer, but I had already figured out how much of each subject per week. And approximately, and then it was just simple to be ready for Monday for starting. So another tip that I find very useful, and now we have been having school for a couple weeks by the time you see this video. I found it was so helpful to have planned your schedule for how your school day starts. I had a video recently I made, which you can find in my videos, on the most important minutes of your homeschool day, and how the minute you pray about it and the first minute are the most important minutes. Now, the first minute of our day just has made such a difference because I got that concept clear in my mind for this school year, for the start of our year. Who knows, I might have to work with some training when they get a bit more tired of schoolwork. But it's when they go and sit down at their desk, when we get to, in this case, our church house, at about 8:30 in the morning, they go right to their desks, my girls, and they pull out their math book and start their math. It's trained into them. I don't have to be doing any of this, telling them what to do. And so I would encourage you, if you're setting up your new school year, or even in the middle of your year, the thing that makes the biggest difference if you get things done or not is have a set time and know what to start with, a time to start and what to start with. And that has made a huge difference. Here you can see I was filling in my planner, and then Monday, after this was recorded, we started school with our special first day of school activities. And there's that video too. Though I don't have one for this year, I have it for previous years. But then it was just teaching them the new rhythm, the new schedule, the new routine for a day. They sit down, start with math, and our day goes so much smoother. And then I do things like our circle time and memory work later in the day, once they've done the bulk of their schoolwork that is harder. So I hope wherever your homeschool is at, you're having a wonderful day. I hope that you can have a thriving homeschool too. And if you want to know more about how to have a homeschool, check out my community and courses below. And then subscribe also for more homeschooling information. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.